When cruise ship company MSC decided to build their own Paradise Island, they knew it wouldn't be plain sailing. They've set themselves 3 years to turn the small, abandoned island of Ocean Key from a junk-filled pile of sand to a tropical oasis. It's a project unlike anything attempted before, set to cost $200 million and test the resolve of everyone involved.
How many times does it usually take to fire? It's a fuel problem.
They've spent months meticulously clearing the island of rubbish, shaping the sand, and putting in the groundworks for their vision.
Cable up!
It's an operation that has already taken far longer than they anticipated.
Everything we did yesterday just broke loose.
Guests have already bought tickets to visit, and more than 4,000 are due to arrive on the maiden cruise ship voyage in just a year's time. And they're expecting perfection.
We're gonna be on time.
But having guests already booked isn't the only pressure. The company has also committed to making Ocean Key a flagship environmentally responsible island. And they've set themselves a target to be awarded the coveted marine reserve status. They plan to resurrect a struggling coral reef, protect the native species, and plant thousands of trees. But will it be enough?
There are reefs here. Let's try and do something about it.
With time ticking down, can MSC Cruises safely mark out the crucial shipping lane? Can they construct a suitable marina to attract the world's most expensive yachts?
No, there's no way to put a boat here. It's a disaster.
And how will they cope when one of the biggest hurricanes in decades hits the island? Will this island ever resemble paradise? When MSC Cruises decided to build their own island, they scoured the globe for the perfect location. Ocean Key lies in the islands of the Bahamas, 65 miles southeast of Florida. This former sand mine presents a challenging canvas on which to build a paradise island. It has no infrastructure, power, or resources. The remote location makes even the simplest task a logistical nightmare. And there are piles of broken down metal, discarded and littered around the site. This is a project that will stretch this team to their limit. With opening day drawing nearer, the team need to construct a brand new marina and lengthy breakwater. They need to erect a towering lighthouse and undertake the placement of huge pipes to make out the deep water shipping lane. And they need to cover the island with more than 4,000 trees, transforming it from sand-covered yellow and white to a tropical green oasis. But it's not just on land that MSC need to work hard. They've made a pledge to turn the oceans into a protected marine area. From the outset of the build, the company have committed to make this island a benchmark for conservation, helping the environment and ensuring the construction enhances the habitats found on land and in the surrounding water. And if they can do enough to impress the Bahamian government, they'll be awarded a special title, Marine Reserve Status. But can they get it? Before any work can begin on protecting and restoring the island's natural ecosystem, workers need to know what they're dealing with. So, experts have arrived to conduct a Rapid Environmental Assessment, or REA.
We need to determine which type of ecosystems are, in the nearshore waters of this key, whether it be coral reefs, seagrasses, and in turn we're going to be measuring the abundance of fishes to determine how healthy the populations are of these ecosystems.
To do that, Owen O'Shea and his team are using BRUVs, or Baited Remote Underwater Video Surveys.
So we're just about to drop this BRUV unit just southwest of Ocean Key, about half a nautical mile. We've put 1,000 grams of a very oily bait fish in that cage, and we just need to attach this camera, and then we're going to drop it down and leave it for 60 minutes. All right, that's it.
These might look like modified shopping trolleys, but actually they're sophisticated devices that allow Owen to film all of the creatures below the surface. Owen hopes there'll be an abundance of healthy life, but all the years of mining for sand means there could be nothing.
Historically, this island has been exploited for its resources with very little scientific data to work out how these historical mining activities have impacted these environments. So, as a scientist, it's a no-brainer for me. I think that everyone should be exhibiting this level of responsibility.
MSC have invited Owen's team to Ocean Key to get the best knowledge of what they could do to help the island flourish. But there's a chance that what they find could put construction work on hold.
No one's ever really looked at the ecosystem health within this specific area. There could be turtles that nest on these beaches where their construction lights might influence the way that the hatchlings move towards the water. There could be very important spawning aggregations of important fish around here.
Whatever's found here could be critical to the island's progress, but the findings can't be analyzed on site. Owen and his team of surveyors now have to wait till they're back at their lab to see what species have appeared on camera.
You guys are awesome, thank you.
In a few weeks, they'll be back in the Bahamas to present their findings. While the scientists crunch their numbers, work can't afford to stop. The building project is set to cost $200 million. And in charge of that spend is company chairman Pier Francesco Vago. And 18 months into the build, he's visiting Ocean Key to check on progress.
Here she is. Wow.
How's your baby looking?
But she's gorgeous.
After meeting the team, Mr. Vago gets to explore his island.
Nice and hot, huh? Huh? This is another stunning beach. It blends in. But it's well protected on this side, where the larger beach would be, right? But I can see that it's exactly going in the right direction, so even more exciting, huh? Okay, let's carry on. Let's look some more.
The project is a little behind schedule. The huge cleanup has prevented any building work being done, but now the first wooden structures are starting to appear. Designers have opted for an unusual method. Housing for the 135 staff who will live on Ocean Key has been built off-site and shipped in as complete pieces, which can be assembled in a matter of hours. There's several miles of utility pipes and power being laid underground.
So how much more utilities do we need to do? So still plenty.
Yes.
Yeah. But all this is already linked. So there is no price difference, eh?
It might not yet resemble paradise, but the positive vibes are music to the ears of project manager Chris Ellis.
Mr. Vago is incredibly impressed with the work that's been going on at the moment. The guys have worked incredibly hard to get it to this stage. He's just happy to be on the island, I think, finally to see it.
The environmental transformation is all important, and Mr. Vago is invited to plant one of the first of over 4,000 trees.
Okay, guys, you're doing a great job. Now there is a 4,999 more down this way. Oh, look at the color of the water. It's amazing. Even if we left it as it was, with the right drink and a just deck, I think it would do the job. It'll be a great job. Very happy.
A happy chairman is a happy Chris. And it's a reasonable day in paradise.
But the visit isn't over.
Bene, andiamo a vedere la Marina? Eh?
On the southeast of the island, the team have built the Marina, which is supposed to house a plethora of expensive super yachts. But this Marina is experiencing some extremely choppy waters.
Guarda che risacche che c'è qua. Questo è un disastro.
The island of Ocean Key in the Bahamas is being turned into a paradise retreat. And with just the most basic infrastructure, this is a total transformation and a race against time. 14 months before it's due to receive its first guests, company chairman Vago, the man in overall charge, is visiting the island to check on progress.
Bene, andiamo a vedere la Marina? Eh?
But he's found a problem in the marina on the southeast of the island.
Cioè, guarda che risacca che c'è qua.
Company chairman Vago hopes that it'll be a home for a fleet of super yachts belonging to the wealthy guests. But the large swell of the ocean in the marina is giving him concerns.
There's a lot of chop.
Chop, yeah. So here I want to take a picture because this is a problem. Ma perché l'abbiamo fatta qua? Spiegatemi. No, there is no way you can put a boat here.
The prevailing winds in this part of the ocean run from north to south, meaning the south coast of Ocean Key can be prone to choppy water. Far from ideal for parking an expensive yacht.
Ma non capisco. Cioè, io ho sempre pensato che il prevailing winds era di là. Perciò tutti i drones che ci hanno presentato, vuol dire che chi l'ha fatto non si è mai dicendo dove cavolo arriva il vento. Cioè, non ci posso credere. But these are fundamental mistakes, Chris.
But there's nothing we can do about it.
What do you mean there's nothing we can do?
There's no way the marina could be moved at this late stage, and all the money in the world can't alter the wind direction.
The plan was always to use the marina as a berth, an occasional berth for recreational pleasure boats and the odd super yacht. We can't sell that experience to guests if we have a washing machine type effect in the marina, so that idea of that guest experience is gone.
Okay, so we need to group and have a meeting as soon as possible on this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, all right, thanks.
One of those moments as a project manager where you realise there's a problem, you haven't solved it, your chairman is annoyed with you, frustrated and angry.
To fix this will be a costly and time-consuming task. The pressure is on. While Mr. Vago leaves Chris to fix the problem, attention turns to the environmental conservation of Ocean Key. Scientists have gathered in the neighboring island of Bimini to report the findings of their rapid environmental assessment, to reveal just how much work there is to be done.
Well, thank you everybody for making it all the way to Bimini from various places.
It's been 6 weeks since the team did a survey in the waters around Ocean Key. They sent cameras into the ocean, and the results have been startling.
Quite a lot of fish, almost 1,400 individuals from 58 species.
It's a promising snapshot with lots of marine life beginning to flourish again in the waters around the island. But it's not all good news. Coral reefs are in short supply, and many have been damaged by the earlier mining works.
There is a global problem facing reefs. There are reefs here. They're clearly in decline and suffering pretty severely. Let's try and do something about it.
The team have decided to try and save the struggling coral, and they discuss a plan to move existing coral away from the vulnerable areas and into other parts of the island's waters. But it's a risky strategy.
If a storm comes and takes out a reef, or if a coral disease like the mid-'80s wipes out the elkhorn coral, there's nothing going to come back for a long time.
I mean, there's not a lot of coral here for a reason. So maybe we'll be successful.
I feel very comfortable about growing the coral, but I've really grappled with where we're going to restore and what we're going to do.
But MSC Cruises wants its visitors to the island to have the chance to interact with and learn about the coral. So they've decided that the removed coral will be planted in a safe area and encouraged to grow.
Very viable to do restoration, even in an area where there's going to be snorkelers.
There's also some concerning findings about a local species called queen conch. Stocks are low when they should be thriving. It's something that General Manager Michelle will be keeping a close eye on.
I find conch is really indigenous to the Bahamas. It's very apparent in the Bahamas. It's a dish out here, and it's in dire straits. And I think it's really needing our help.
The conference ends with a clear plan of how this island can be restored. But now the hard work begins to turn all these plans into a thriving ecological success story. But can it be done in time? One of the reasons that Ocean Key was selected to be a new paradise island was an existing deep water channel, first dug out in the 1970s, that runs right alongside it. It's perfect for large cruise ships to get up close. But the deep water channel is narrow and impossible to navigate without some sizable signposts. So Rick Alexander has been tasked with an operation to mark out the water channel, and they'll be using some specially made navigation pipe pylons.
The navigation aid pipe piles mark the channel so the ship knows how to navigate and knows he's in deep enough water and knows he's not going to get any trouble with shallow water. All channels are marked basically with red and green markers. That way the ship's captain knows where the shallow water is on his right, he knows where the shallow water is on his left, and he has a beacon that's directing him right down the center to protect him from getting too close to the shallow water and damaging the vessel there.
These giant 105-foot-long pylons need to be maneuvered and drilled down into the seabed, so that they're left poking their heads above the water and visible to any ships arriving.
The ship will come in. As he approaches marker number 10, he now knows that he can begin his turn. If he goes any farther east than 11 and 12, he's going to be in shallow water.
But getting the pipes embedded 40 feet into the seabed means some serious heavy lifting.
Pile driving is always dangerous. Working on the water makes it even more dangerous. It's very easy with a pile this size on the sea to get yourself in trouble and possibly even do something as much as turn over a crane.
Rick's team have already marked out the precise location for each pylon using GPS. Over the next 2 months, the pylons are taken out to sea, moved into position, and drilled down. But there's one more to go, and now the team face a race against time to get it in before bad weather hits.
Your biggest challenge is the calmer the seas, the easier it is to drive these heavy pipes. And this is the one that I've been looking for, the last one. We're going to drive this one today. When we finish driving this pile today, I can relax a good bit.
There's plenty to do before Rick can put his feet up. First task is to get the pylon vertical.
Let's get the dozer over here to push it a little bit. We're going to get either a loader or a dozer to give it a push on that end, which will make it start sliding. Once it starts sliding, then we'll have better control. All right, Freddie, cable up, boom up, all stop, all stop. I don't want it to come up and get on the slope and swing. Don't let it swing.
With the pylon now upright, it can be floated out to the ocean.
We look good. You got everything locked down?
Out at sea, the team are working within inches of accuracy. There's no room for error.
Once everything is safe, we'll lower the pile down into the water so that the water helps stabilize the bottom of the pile. Yeah, you need to get closer so they can get out on that.
With the crane operator unable to see the precise position, it needs to be guided in by workers precariously stood on the concrete platform.
Watch the backside.
With the pylon in place, it now needs to be drilled down into the seabed, and that requires a monumental hammer, or in this case, 2.
This is the vibratory hammer. You get 5,000 PSI pressure squeezing this cylinder into this jaw. So you got a good grip. The energy then travels down the pipe pile to travel all the way to the tip so that it's making the tip do the damage and eat through the material and hopefully through the rock.
Now, with the pylon deep enough into the seabed to hold its own position, it's time to wheel out the big guns. This is the diesel impact hammer with fuel injection. It literally sets off small explosions above the pylon, which forces pistons down onto the pylon to plunge it deeper into the seabed.
The weight of the piston creates the impact. The fuel explodes. The explosion of the fuel sends the piston back up, comes back down, and the explosion occurs again. The only thing harder than that pile and that rock is my head. If the hammer don't drive it, we're gonna hang me by the ankles, and we're gonna drop my head on the pile, and something's gonna give, and it won't be my head.
Rick's unorthodox plan B might be required. There's a problem with the hammer. It's misfiring.
How many times that usually take to fire? It's a fuel problem.
Sometimes it'll, just like an old car, it'll take 3 or 4 licks to get it to warm up.
With the day wearing on, the hammer creeps into life and begins its important job. Two months after the drilling operation started, the final pylon is in place. Just one more hammer blow should secure it in position. And this phase of building paradise is another that can be ticked off.
So my reputation is still gonna be intact. We will finish tonight. This is the last major hurdle for GLF. So it just represents a lot of anticipation, a lot of personal stress because I needed to get it done. It's the end of our last major milestone.
The island of Ocean Key should be a haven for marine life. Its position in the Bahamas means it ought to be a home for coral, fish, and underwater plants. But a survey has found much of the coral here is struggling to thrive, thanks in part to the years of mining that occurred. MSC Cruises' vision for Ocean Key is to protect and preserve this piece of paradise, restoring the ecosystem and allowing guests to experience the natural beauty of the Bahamas. To help realize that vision, they've removed large sections of coral and relocated it in carefully chosen spots around the island where they hope it will flourish.
The coral that we removed were very significant to the reef building and the health of a reef. And so if it is that we can improve one of the outer reefs by adding more coral to them, then why not?
Jumanji Bethel is from the Forest Group, a team checking on the environmental work on Ocean Key. She'll be assessing how successful MSC has been in conserving the island's marine life. And if she's impressed, it'll carry MSC Cruises a long way towards being awarded their coveted Marine Reserve status. Today, she's invited diver Noel Janetsky to check out some of the reef to see how much healthy coral there is, and crucially, whether any of the relocated coral is surviving.
It's already going.
Well, we didn't find the relocated coral, unfortunately. But actually, this reef looks pretty healthy.
It's mixed news. The presence of a good coral reef is heartening, but if Noel can't find any trace of the relocated coral, then that move might have failed, and the reefs around the island might have been damaged. It's time for another look.
This looks like it could be it.
Around 10 to 15 meters below the surface, this coral reef has an abundance of fish, and nestled in amongst it is a metal tag, a sign that this is the repopulated coral. It's not just surviving, it's thriving.
How was it?
It was really good.
What did you think?
Well, clearly there's a lot of transplants, and I was able to identify the numbers on them. A lot of fish, lobster. So everybody's
really?
happy.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy down there. Yeah. It's good work. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
While the coral needs to be monitored for the next few years to ensure it continues to grow, it's a great sign that all the environmental efforts shown by MSC is reaping rewards and improving the ecosystems around Ocean Key. But it's not just in the sea that the environment is important. On the land, there's an operation underway to turn this pile of white sand into a lush green oasis. In charge of that complex operation is Zuhair Saudi.
When I just heard the word of Ocean Key, for me it was a challenge. The job was to change the desert island to a green island. We start the one on the bottom.
It's a job that has to be done in phases. The trees are shipped in from Fort Lauderdale, and when they arrive, they need to be planted immediately. Today, a shipment has arrived that Zuhair's team need to plant now.
Today, we have to plant 100 trees in this area. We have to do it quick, we have to do it fast, and everything must be well done. We have no time to do it 2 times. And here, it's more hot, more salty, so we need to plant the trees. As soon as we receive them, give them a lot of water, fertilizer, mycorrhiza, and let them grow.
Remarkably, each individual tree has its own place on the island. A detailed plan has plotted where each one should go within a matter of inches. And it's the job of Zuhair's team to turn that plan into action.
We have a surveyor with the GPS, and he have the design drawing on his GPS. Each flag represents a position, a final position of a tree.
With flags marking out the position of each tree, the team get to work. The different species have been carefully selected. 90% are indigenous to this area, hardy and capable of surviving tropical storms. They include coconut palms, satin leaf, and Jamaica dogwood. Each tree's an expensive asset, and some have been growing for up to 5 years, specially for use on this island.
The team plants already 25 units just in this area. You can see the trees in the right places. They are not moving with the wind, so it was a good job. This morning, everything here was like desertic. After like 8 hours of work, you can see the green, you can see the magic color. It makes me very happy.
As the day draws to a close, there's an unexpected arrival. 10 more large trees that need urgent attention. One has been pinpointed to be pride of place in the Welcome Plaza. This is the first thing that visitors to Ocean Key will see as they disembark the cruise ship. And the tree they've chosen needs to be planted now.
Those trees are the biggest one of the island. They are also the most expensive. And we don't want any risk with those trees. So we receive them today, we need to plant them today. The price of this tree, it's 3 times any regular coconut on site. And it's regarding the size, it's very hard to find them. So it's like a precious tree, and we don't want to waste it.
The team have to work quickly but delicately. They can't afford for the tree to be damaged.
You need to raise it a little bit. From this side, it's too low. Here it's the welcome area, so everything needs to be perfect. Now I guess it's okay. Now it's okay.
After 2 hours, the tree is in. It's been a long day, but Zuhair is pleased with the progress.
I was stressed because the work is hard here. Everything was done, so this night I will fall asleep peaceful.
When company chairman Pier Francesco Vago visited Ocean Key, he spotted a major problem. He noticed that the marina designed to house a fleet of expensive yachts and excursion boats was being buffeted by high winds and choppy waters, rendering it useless. So now it's over to project manager Chris Ellis to find a solution.
The solution, in essence, put a permanent breakwater in, which covers about 3/4 of the entrance to the marina, and then somehow create another barrier to prevent those southeasterly waves coming in.
The breakwater is built up from a series of pylons plunged down into the seabed. A sheet pylon combi wall is then attached beneath the surface of the ocean to stop the strong tides disturbing the quiet marina space. Chris and the design team have opted for 2 breakwaters, but it will add lengthy constructions to the already stretched building team's workload. All this work is a costly and time-consuming effort the team hadn't prepared for.
One thing I've learned working on Ocean Key, that nothing is cheap and everything is expensive. We're certainly talking $2 or $3 million at the cheapest option.
With just weeks to go, the breakwater construction is underway, and it's one of the most precise builds of the entire project.
We only have maybe a range of 2 or 3 millimeters in the piles. Most to be very exactly. That's why we use all the time the surveyor on land.
The surveyor directs the pylons to a precise location, but it's time-consuming work. Bad weather and rock beneath the surface can cause delays, and every second counts when opening day is on the horizon.
We have a deadline time, and that's a lot of pressure for all the team.
Fortunately, work is now underway, and the first of 15 pylons can be knocked into place, a hammer crunching each one into the seabed. It'll take several weeks to maneuver each pylon, but no sooner has work started on this phase than it stops. There's a distraction.
Dorian continuing to strengthen, getting a little bigger. This is a very unusual trap coming out of the Caribbean into the Atlantic and not moving to the west, but moving to the west-northwest.
A tropical storm is making its way through the Caribbean, and it could be heading straight for Ocean Key.
So, first item on the agenda is Hurricane Dorian. It's hitting hard now with rain and winds up to 70 miles an hour. But it looks like Saturday or Sunday we'll have the full force of whatever it is. So we need to make sure we have our on-island preparation plan in place, and then the other part is making sure we have the provision for getting people off the island.
Hurricanes aren't unusual here. In fact, they've had one every year of the build. But some storms can be heavier than others. And if a big one hits, it could be catastrophic for Ocean Key. Project manager Rick is already preparing.
Hurricane Dorian, she's on the way. We thought she was just going to be a small thing without too much to worry about. She may actually become a Category 3 before she reaches Ocean Key. If the center of Dorian happens to come over Ocean Key, should be devastating. There probably won't be a tree standing. It'll certainly delay the opening, and it'll be a lot more work and a lot longer before we reach this point again.
It's not just the buildings that are at risk. Lives are too. So Rick and the other bosses here are arranging for everyone to be evacuated. First by boat and then by plane. That's not straightforward.
We're going to fly you guys out on the afternoon flight today. You guys out of Grand Bahamas, y'all are on the morning flight.
If you miss the small boat, this one coming back.
All anyone can do now is watch and wait to see just how much damage the storm will bring.
Dorian is expected to devastate the Bahamas tomorrow. Still, Dorian's path remains hard to predict.
It really slows down over the Bahamas, and because of it, they're asking people to evacuate the northern Bahamas.
With construction of Ocean Key in full swing, the island was dealt a hammer blow as Hurricane Dorian rolled into the Caribbean. 98% of workers left their posts, and those that remained set about securing the island rather than developing it before the storm took hold. And this storm was one of the worst in living memory. Large swathes of the Bahamas were flattened, and more than 50 lives were lost. But remarkably, Ocean Key, just 240 kilometers from the eye of the storm, survived with little more than cosmetic damage.
The good news is that our island is actually really held up. The trees are up. I think we have maybe one or two that went down. Nothing really dramatic. Now it's a question of finding out about all the workers here, because most of them do come from Freeport. Sad to see what happened to them. A lot of our construction guys might have to stay behind and help out their own families and friends. These are our main construction guys. So if we don't see them back, then, well, you know, concerning, and we need to figure out what's happening with all that.
It's a miracle that the island hasn't been destroyed, particularly as many of the structures were incomplete and the trees had only just been planted. But the delays caused by evacuation mean that everything's at least a month behind. But one key project that has powered ahead over recent months is the Lighthouse. Measuring 98 feet in height, it'll be the showpiece of the island and give guests a 360-degree view of Ocean Key and the surrounding seas. The shell of the lighthouse has been manufactured off-site, and engineer Sunita Dean has overseen the construction of it on the island.
It's a massive challenge logistically. Technically, not so much, but logistically, it's massive. Because we have all these constraints on Ocean Key. We're in the middle of the ocean, very far away from all resources. You try to do as much as possible off-site, and then you bring on-site. So I think it's a more efficient way of building. We designed it in a way that it's going to be a big puzzle that you basically fit together on-site. You install part by part, and you've got a manual, and it's quite exciting. It's like a big kid, you know, with a big toy.
Installing the staircase is the most technically challenging piece of this puzzle, and today it's being worked on by Sunita and a father and son team flown in all the way from France. The lighthouse is a complex build. First comes the outer framework, and then the inner staircase is lowered into position. Working at height, it must be dropped inside the outer shell of the lighthouse and then secured in place. This is a jigsaw puzzle that cannot be completed if there's even the smallest error in the manufacture of the pieces. The whole project will have to be put on hold if anything doesn't fit.
Basically, you're fitting a rounded member, which is the staircase, into a square hole, and it's very, very tight. So there's not a lot of parameters to play with, tolerances on both sides. So communication is key, and we've got extremely good local operators.
Up, stop.
Every lifting that you do in construction is challenging because you have to think about the safety, you know, so it can go very, very bad very quickly.
Stop. Here.
Okay, all right, boss.
Once the staircase and outer framework is complete, next a specially constructed paneling is installed. And then, finally, the lighthouse is topped off with a lookout platform.
It's very good to see progress like this. Any progress is good progress, especially on a site this challenging. So I hope that it fits the expectation that they're looking for.
After several weeks' hard work by Sunita and the team, the lighthouse is complete and will be a stunning landmark visible to guests from across the island. But it's not just a landmark. This lighthouse will be another valuable part of the guest's experience, allowing visitors to take a trip to the top. First to try it is General Manager Michelle.
We are on top of the lighthouse. It is so nice. I can't believe it's actually built. We've only seen pictures for so long. It's going to be an amazing excursion. Guests are going to love it up here. The view is incredible. This was a piece of grass and sand and debris just a few months ago, and here we have it, that everything is looking phenomenal.
Also complete is the breakwater. After the severe issues facing the Marina area were spotted, it's been an expensive but necessary build for Chris Ellis and his team.
At the moment, I'm looking at the just about complete northern breakwater, which will protect the Marina.
The new breakwater has calmed the choppy waters and turned the Marina into a quiet luxury dock.
It was the right decision. And it's created a beautiful space that we can run operations from and provide safe haven to any craft in the area in case of storms. It's a great decision.
With Chris signing off the construction of the lighthouse and the breakwater, things are back on schedule. But while MSC Cruises promised the island would be open and delivered on time, they also made a commitment to the environment. Company Chairman Pier Francesco Vago pledged to protect the ocean and provide a flourishing habitat for native species. And it'll be up to General Manager Michelle McGregor to keep tabs on their progress. Success rests on whether they'll be awarded a marine reserve status from the Bahamian government. And Michelle has some good news.
We've been waiting till the last minute, and we finally got it. Mr. Vago was really, really keen about, keeping the authenticity of the Bahamas, keeping the oceans pure and very environmentally friendly. Everything that we did revolved around the environment. Everything was thought of to make sure that we could protect the oceans. We've been pushing this for about 5 years now, so it's really exciting to make it happen.
With positive signs on land and at sea, this island is proving to be a new home for all sorts of important life.
So you see the marine life that's coming back. I'm just actually surprised on how quickly it's coming back and how beautiful the ocean is already looking. And we're not even opening day yet.
As that day nears, Michelle's focus will now switch to the finishing touches. But she'll do so knowing the island has already delivered its environmental pledge, and that for years to come, it'll be monitored and managed to ensure it continues to thrive.